information should contact the superintendent at the school corporation central office. The meeting will be electronically recorded and will be kept on file in the superintendent's office. A copy of the audio recording will also be available on the NLCS website. So now I would ask that we rise and uncover for those who are able for the pledge. Barbara, could you lead us, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Now we move on to item D number 3, review for approval of the minutes from our January 18th, 2024, an executive session memorandum from February 1st. So I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Mr. Parsley makes the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second. Oops.
Mr. King seconds. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Motion carries. Next, do we have persons to address the board relative to the agenda? Do we have any cards? Nope. Okay. Mrs. Muter, Business Office.
I present to the board approval of claims and payroll since the last board meeting in the amount of $2,036,174.83.
All right. Thank you. I would entertain a motion to approve the claims and payroll as presented. All right. Mrs. Miller makes the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Parsley seconds. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries. All right, number 2.
Next, I ask the board approval of the administrative salary increases.
All right, thank you. I would entertain a motion to approve as presented.
Make a motion to approve.
Mr. Bailey makes a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
Mr. Parsley seconds. Any discussion on the motion?
Yeah. Question for Mr. Yancey, a request, I guess. We had surveys to put this together, and we've talked, and there's some additional data I think we should have to go along with this. Not to impact this list, but for future. And I think it's important if we go ahead and get that as soon as possible, so that's within the same time frame that this information was gathered. So can you go ahead and commit to getting that relatively quickly?
That's your younger guy. We'll work on it.
All right, and if you have any questions, just let me know. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. Thank you, Mrs. Muter. Mr. Housel.
Yes, we would request approval for the transfer of 2 part-time 5-star contractors to direct NLCS employment.
All right, I would entertain a motion to approve as presented.
I'll make a motion, we approve the transfer.
All right, Mr. King makes the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Miller seconds. Any discussion on the motion? I have a question. So this just means they wouldn't be contractors. They're just working for us.
Correct.
They're doing the same thing.
Correct.
Just to clarify. All right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Unger, Human Resources.
Good evening. I'd like to present to you the personnel agenda for the board approval.
All right, I would entertain a motion to approve the personnel agenda as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Lombrick makes the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Bailey seconds. Any discussion on the motion?
I have a couple questions.
Yes, sir.
The 2 part-timers that we just approved for Joel, they're on the list?
Yes.
Okay. And then, towards the back of this, there's, under resignations, quite a few from Playful Pathways. Is that something we need to be concerned about? Do we need to fill behind those, or
Now, we've began implementing exit surveys that we, as the board has asked, and so these people have been reached out for exit surveys. None of them have participated yet. Some even like to have already been out of the position before they do that. Also, it's there's a it may be just also coincidental because some of the people I talked to was also just found another job somewhere that paid more money and things like that. So,
Okay.
but we will be looking into it in more depth.
Okay, and with these, are we find ourselves shorthanded now, or are we, I mean, do we have positions we need to fill
Yeah, I think
immediately?
a problem there, and I believe Christy's even here tonight, is that it's always kind of shorthanded.
Okay.
Because there's, as you've already been aware as a board, there's a lot more regulations on staff to student ratios for this place, for this institution. And so that is a constant battle to make sure that we have the right people. And I know they get subs and work through that.
Okay, thanks.
Right, any other discussion on personnel? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Any abstention? Right, so we had, was it 6-2 or 5-2? Or 6-1 or 5-2? It was 5 ayes, 2 nays. All right, thank you. Number 2.
Second item is to present the second reading of the anti-fraternization policy that was given to you.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
We have to,
Yeah, so I would,
there's no motion.
there's no motion, this is informational, right? It's the first
It's
reading.
the first reading.
Got it, okay,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Mine
we
still
had to
says
change
second.
it. Had to change it because
yeah.
Yeah, there was enough revisions that we're now
Right.
making this the first reading.
Okay, is now the time though we ask questions about it? Or does anybody have questions or discussion on that after the first reading? Okay. Moving you on to number 3, and again, this is a non-voting item, is what it looks like. Okay. Human Resources.
Yes, the
Information
next one is
System.
the Human Resource Information System,
Okay.
and that was information to be given to you.
Okay,
And
It's
in
in our
that is an
package.
executive summary. Also, there is that goes through and say why this kind of system is needed. It addresses some of the strategic goals around compliance and internal controls that came out of the State Board of Accounts, but then also to aggressively address serving our employees and also retention. So recruiting and retention is also a primary thing in that. And then also presented to you should have been the quotes from the systems that we looked at.
is it the same with the Raptor visitation system, we have information? It's
Yes,
information.
that's just an informational item as
And
well.
that has started to be implemented at some of the,
Yes, so to full disclosure, Mr. Housel and I teamed up on that one, and we went to all the schools ourselves and installed them early February. We finished the implementation. Again, if you recall, this is for a visitation system that scans in people. The reason that it was came through the HR office is because a lot of these people are contractors, volunteers, and so we were looking for a better way of doing the proper checks, but then also make sure they're in the building. So what's nice now is when they sign in, we have a digital record that we can also access at Central automatically. Prior, they would sign in on a piece of paper or not, and then you'd have to try to go and find it.
so is this also for anybody who's visiting the building? Like
Yes.
If I go, okay,
So if you go to visit
so
one of
it's
the
a safety.
buildings, they will scan your ID. It'll run a basic check, and then you will be presented a badge that says where you're going and who you are, and then the system keeps track as people sign in and out.
Okay.
Yeah, and as after the implementation, it seems to be going really well. I want to say too, this was a collaborative effort across our district. I was super impressed with the network of our building administrative assistants. They email, they talk, and so they worked out how to even use this more efficiently than we expected at this point. And with the help of David Van Landingham in communications, we're already working on contractor badges that he's made. So it's been a group effort. And one of the administrative assistants sent this. We just did our first pre-registration for the Valentine's parties today. Everything was awesome. The parents loved it, and we had everything printed and ready for those that pre-registered. It was easy to sign out. People as well. Thanks. 100% love it. So it's going to provide us not just better security, but also more efficiencies.
Efficiency.
Yeah.
I was in BMS this week, and they also said that they loved it. It's a great thing. And they're also be easier for them to track the time of the substitute teachers and things.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
will be in the system. They can do it all automated now instead of doing all the sign in, sign out on paper. So
Yep.
it's another advantage.
Any other questions or discussion on that?
No, I was a user Friday at one of the Valentine's Day parties. My wife and I, and we did the early registration. Walked in, got it there at Nolan's, and it went very well, as far as I can tell. So
Very good. Well, and that is attributed to our staff working together. Again, it was amazing to me see how well everybody worked across its buildings and also across departments.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Hudson with elementary curriculum.
Good evening. I have a few approval items and a couple of informational items. The first approval item is approval of the 2024 Early Literacy Grant stipends to be distributed to elementary, kindergarten, first, second, and third grade classroom teachers, instructional coaches, reading specialists, and inclusion teachers. The total amount of the grant that we received is $17,517.34. It will be divided equally among the people that you have a list of, I believe.
All right, thank you. I would entertain a motion to approve as presented.
make a motion to approve.
All right, Mr. Parsley makes the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. King seconds. Any discussion on the motion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that motion passes. So number 2.
Thank you. Item 2 is approval of a price proposal for the AIM Institute Pathways to Proficient Reading coursework. This will cover up to 40 of our K-3 teachers. This will be paid in its entirety by the Competitive Science of Reading Grant. So teachers apply to be a part of this, to complete this coursework, and we pay for the coursework, and then they are paid stipends because they complete it on their own time.
Okay. I would entertain a motion to approve the price proposal for AIM Institute Pathways. Mrs. Miller makes the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. King seconds. Any discussion on the motion? All right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. Got one more?
Item 3 is approval of $400 stipends paid from the Competitive Science of Reading Grant for 10 teachers. You have a list of those teachers who participated in Reading Instruction Successfully Enhanced, or RISE, virtual trainings on Saturday, February 3rd and Saturday, February 10th.
Okay. I would entertain a motion for approval as presented for the $400 stipends.
So moved.
Mr. Parsley makes the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Bailey seconds. Any discussion on the motion?
So these were, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, are these are one time and from grant funds?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was, did you say what level teacher, K through 6, or what level is the teacher?
The grant, so some parts of the grant only cover grades K through 3, and this was one of those. So it covers grades K to 3 at 4 of our buildings. So these are people who were interested. They just volunteered to give up a couple of Saturdays.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. And then you have just 2 informational?
Yes, the first one is that Dollins, Lincoln, Needmore, and Shosvick Elementaries will all be part of Cohort 3 of the Indiana Literacy Cadre. An MOU will be sent to us in March or April for board approval from SEL, University of Indy. But you have a statement of assurances, I believe, in your board packet that explains what that partnership will consist of and all of the things we're agreeing to by being part of the cadre. Parkview was part of the cadre this year, part of Cohort 2, and they'll have another year in the cadre next year. So this is a 2-year commitment.
So we anticipate the MOU being the same as it was for Parkview?
I believe it'll be exactly the same because it's also with University of Indianapolis and SEL.
Does it change the second year or just stay the same?
Well, I believe it will stay the same, but the MOU, the previous MOU was specifically named Parkview. So this one will cover the other 4 buildings.
Okay.
And
Okay.
one more?
And the next information item is that all of our NLCS it should say 3 to 8. All of our NLCS 3 to 8 students will be participating in the optional I Learn Through the Year checkpoints for the 24-25 school year. This will be grades 3 to 6 students at Dollins, Lincoln, Needmore, Shosvick, and Parkview, and grades 7 and 8 students at Bedford Middle School. The following year in 25-26, all Indiana schools will administer the I Learn Through the Year checkpoints. So this pilot is a chance for our schools to do that next year on a voluntary basis and give the state feedback on those assessments. These assessments, the checkpoints will replace NWEA for our grades 3 to 8 students.
those are twice a year tests?
The checkpoints are 3 times, and then they will take the summative assessment as usual next year. The following year, they will do 3 checkpoints and take a shortened summative.
The year after.
Yes, the year that everybody, that it's not a choice, that year.
Okay, any questions for Mrs. Hudson? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Van Landingham. Here he comes. We're ready for you. Yeah.
Hey, I am here to present an audio replacement upgrade for the Bedford North Lawrence High School gymnasium.
Okay, and I believe we have this information in our
Yes,
packets.
and I'd be happy to
So I would
elaborate the details.
First I'll call for a motion, and then if we have discussion.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I would entertain a motion for approval of the new sound system at BNL as presented.
Make a motion, we approve.
Mr. King makes the motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Bailey seconds. Any discussion on the motion?
This is just sound system.
This is, just all sound audio. So, one good thing to note is we've been bandaging for several years the audio in there, and I'm sure some of you have
I've
been to the.
experienced it.
Yeah, so it's been bandaged for a while, and it just needs a complete
It does.
revamp. And this is what this is. Professionals coming in to do it, and the window of time to get it done is perfect. If that's a question, basically we're looking at spring break, so hopefully we can get it done then while nobody's in school, and it just bada bing, bada boom. It also includes audio, not just in the gym, but also out into the lobby where the concessions are, so that it's kind of overtakes everywhere. It also coincides with the like the live stream area with Aaron Harrell, so we worked with him, so it'll drop right there. Everything's going to work
Great.
good. We also have a couple really neat touchscreen panels that are going to be on the walls down on the floor for, let's say, the AD or coaches that or PE teachers that maybe need to get into the sound system. It'll have a code, but it's just a simple one button, turn it on versus how do I turn this on?
Right,
I can't
how do I
use
use
it.
this?
It's a very simple system for those reasons, and then it can get more complex if you want it to be. So it's pretty nice.
So spring break, is that before or after the BNL musical?
I do
It's
not know that.
after. Okay, well, next year.
It's the gym.
Well, that's in the past.
Oh,
It's the gym. It's in the gym.
never mind.
Oh, well, I mean, that would be cool too.
Never mind.
We could do that.
I was thinking of when you said it also goes into the gym. I was thinking you all said it also goes into the auditorium. That's really neat.
Concession.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Okay, any other discussion?
Ms. Mooter, can we afford this, and what fund is it coming out of?
Bond.
All right, thank you.
All right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. Thank you. That'll
Thank
be
y'all.
nice.
Appreciate it.
Definitely needed. All right, Mr. Yancey.
Thank you. We would like to ask for approval of professional development through the Indiana Association of Public School Superintendents for the Director of Human Resources.
All right, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Make
moved.
motion.
Mr. Parsley makes the motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
Mr. King seconds. Any discussion on the motion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries.
Thank you. We would like to ask for approval from Centos, 36 months for first aid and safety service agreement. This is for 30 AEDs. These are new, and they will be taken care of by Centos, and they provide the pads, the checks of the batteries. This is a 3-year agreement. We have buildings that do not have AEDs, including this one right now. So they will all be brand new. Our school nurse took a look at this, and we thought this was the best route to go and make sure everything is first class, especially on that safety equipment.
All right, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Mr. Lambert makes the motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
Mr. King seconds. Any discussion?
So this 3-year contract will take place starting next month or right
Yes,
away?
we need the AEDs right away.
So they'll be able to install them that soon? Okay,
So
good.
I will, once you approve it, we'll sign it and then send it to the representative and they'll get started.
Okay.
And they do check the batteries, so it will be up, yes, because we
Alright.
have some in the district that are not functioning now.
Any other discussion?
Is this for all the schools?
Yes, ma'am.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. Thank you. Number 3 now.
Thank you. We would like to ask for approval of NLCS Overnight HASA Conference in Indianapolis, Indiana, on April the 10th through the 12th. HASA is the Health Occupation Students of America.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve the NLCC Overnight HOSA Conference as presented.
Make a motion we approve.
Mr. King makes the motion. Do we have a second? Mrs. Miller seconds. Any discussion on the motion? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries.
Thank you. We would like to ask for approval for B&L Varsity Softball Team Overnight Games in Evansville, Indiana, on April the 5th and 6th.
All right, I entertain a motion to approve as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Lombrick makes the motion. Do we have a second? Mrs. Miller seconds. Any discussion on the motion?
Do we have any idea yet who they're gonna play?
Probably not
No.
yet.
We're taking 2 buses.
Just Mr. Pittman, do we need to put this on the other form and sign it since it's overnight, or since it's athletics versus school?
Yeah, sometimes when it's overnight, we have to sign
Have to
something
right.
different.
Can we,
It's important that you make a motion and approve it tonight.
okay,
And then we
Alright,
can,
sure.
okay,
you just sign this,
okay.
okay. Right,
All right, any other discussion?
What's the significance of the November date on that? It's
Yeah,
Friday,
it
November
was-
3rd,
it's probably cut and paste.
probably. There's nothing, we're not back
That
approving
may be
anything.
when he submitted it.
It may be when he submitted it, but we're
Oh.
just now approving it,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Yeah, Jeff might just held on to it.
Because they are not going through till April, because I thought of that too. I thought, did this already happen? Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. Number 5.
Thank you. We would like to ask for approval of the Playful Pathways 2024-25 school calendar.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to approve as presented.
Make a motion to approve?
All right, Mr. Parsley makes the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. King seconds. Any discussion on the motion?
Yeah, this calendar then will be distributed to the parents, right, so they know?
Yes, sir.
All the, okay. And posted, I assume.
All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. And now number 6 is the second reading of the Neola policies.
Yes, we would like to ask for, would read the second reading of the Neola policies, volume 34, number 1 and number 2, volume 35, number 1 and number 2. Is there any discussion on those policies that, before we would vote, or from the community?
Okay.
I do want to thank Mr. King for taking time to go through that
Yes,
with me.
thank you.
We met probably 4 times on it for many hours, so it's much appreciated. And
Yeah, but
we'll be getting the next volume soon.
there are 101 policies, 348 pages. It was a wonderful experience. And I can't wait to never do it again.
Thank you, Mr. King, for doing that. And
Make a motion we approve.
all right, so Mr. King makes a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Miller seconds. Any discussion on the motion? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. And then your last one is just
Yes,
an
we'd like to give
information.
some information on the Parkview waiver submitted for the power outage. Was approved by the Indiana Department of Education. That was on January the 12th.
So,
Thank you. And now to Mr. Underwood.
Thank you. We are requesting approval for the purchase of the Stop It app anonymous reporting system subscription for the 24-25 school year in the amount of $14,824.
I would entertain a motion to approve as presented.
I'll make a motion we approve as presented.
All right, Mr. King makes a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Miller seconds. Any discussion on the motion? Is this, oh wait, I just reminded myself because it was in our packet. I've already read it. I don't have a question. Does anybody else? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. Number 2.
Thank you. We are requesting approval for $1,500 stipends for lead administrators at BNL, BMS, and all 5 elementaries to monitor the AR system. That's the anonymous reporting system of the Stop It app during non-school hours of the 24-25 school year again. And just because it says a lead administrator, it doesn't mean that it's the principal of that building. We can designate, say, the SRO at the high school.
Okay. Okay. All right, I would entertain a motion to approve as presented.
Make a motion to approve?
Mr. Parsley makes a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. King seconds. Any discussion on the motion?
So are these 7 designees then, basically on call 24/7? Is this, it's a phone-based app, I assume?
Phone-based app, 24/7. They'll get notified. And
then-
it's also tied into law enforcement here
Okay.
at the local
Yeah, that's
level.
Okay.
And this is a one-time pay, or I mean, they get $1,500 for the entire year.
Yes, and then, the way that worked out, this was a 2-year grant. It's the bipartisan Safer Community Grant, right?
Yeah.
And so within that grant, it was $21,952. So where we got the 15 was it was split by 7. You'll notice the Career Center is not in there, or because their students are ours.
Right.
So if a report comes in from the Career Center, it's going to go to the BNL
B&L
administrator.
administrator. Okay.
Right, and then, say you have an Orleans student, that would go to them, that would go to their principal,
Okay.
Shoals and that type of thing. So that's why we came up with 7.
And I think historically with this system, the amount of reporting decreases after it's been used because it's pretty effective. And it's a good deterrent.
Deterrent to.
So hopefully after a year, we'll see fewer hits, and this may not be necessary.
That's what was presented to us, that the actual reports would reduce.
Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. And then we're down to item M, persons to address the board not relevant to the agenda. Do we have any cards? I don't know where David is. Are there any,
Does it sound good?
can anybody in the front row see any blue cards on the podium? Okay. All right, then we will move on to closing business. First of all, spotlights and highlights from Mr. King.
So, here it comes.
Here he comes.
So, when I read some of these students' names, I apologize if I don't get them 100% accurate. So, with the first Thursday falling on the first of the month, I think this meeting caught some of our administrative by surprise. So we have 3 schools listed. Dollins Elementary is the first one. Miss Wilson's class started journal writing with Friendship Friday. Students selected a friend in class to write a message to, and then shared it with everyone in class. Mrs. Julian's class celebrated the 100th day of school with a 100 stamp crown, 100 Fruit Loop necklaces, and a castle made from 100 cups. In Miss Murnane's class, the students had to make an invention that would make throwing away trash easier. They had to test their inventions and have a success rate of 75%. Ms. Thrasher's class is studying the Judicial Branch Unit with 2 major projects. First, they discussed the U.S. Mint. Students had to redesign the nickel. The requirements were to draw on both sides, including the 4 phrases already on the coin, and draw something that is impressive, representative of kids. Teachers and students voted on the 3 favorite designs. Our top 5 winners were Kennedy, Connor, Caden, Will, and Chase. Second project, some students were members of Congress and had to decide on a cell phone policy. They worked together in groups and practiced compromising in order to pass the bill. Ms. Julian's class found examples of push and pull through the school grounds. Ms. Curtis's class did an experiment in class to test gravity and air friction on dice and paper. They dropped a piece of paper and a die at the same time to see how much air friction affected the paper. Then they reduced the air friction by folding or crumpling the paper. Bedford Middle School. 8th grade band students played in the pet band at the high school at the girls' game January the 9th. They did a great job. Our middle school color guard has started their competition season, and we're looking forward to seeing them perform. We want to thank Tanner Romine and Hannah Frash for leading this group. It will be a wonderful feeder program for the high school color guard. Congratulations to BMS Orchestra members Genevieve Case, Addie Potter, and Laura Wires on earning a gold rating on their trio at ISSMA Solo and Ensemble on Saturday, February 3rd. Addie also earned a gold on her violin solo. Our basketball season is wrapped up, and we want to thank our players, cheerleaders, coaches, families, and fans for a great season. Our 8th grade boys white team won 3 tournaments this season. The last time a BMS 8th grade team won 3 tournaments in a season was 17 years ago. Great job. One of our 8th grade teaching teams did an excellent job presenting at a February staff meeting. Thank you, Mrs. Bridges, Mr. Fields, Mrs. Tyree, and Mrs. Voorhees. North Lawrence Career Center. February is Career Technical Education Month. To celebrate CET Month, we have had Dress for Success Days, trivia, special CTE social media posts, and many Career Center tours. Career Center Innovations received a generous donation of $2,500 from our local Ruoff Mortgage branch. This donation will help provide startup funding as we begin CCI this upcoming 3rd trimester. CCI has already received several requests for work, including tee markers for Victoria National Golf Club and several orders for promotional items such as t-shirts and engraved drinkware. Thank you to J.D. Powell and Ruoff Mortgage. North Lawrence career students competed at Schools USA competition at Vincennes University on February 3rd. We had the following students receive a bye straight to the straight competition in Indianapolis, April 19th and 20th. For television production, Thomas Chison, Todd Maddox, Audrey Parker, Clayton Schock. Instructor for that class is Aaron Harrell. For criminal justice, Olivia Crane, Jason Dwyer Harrison, Daniel Weiler. Instructor Greg Taylor. Auto Tech Service 2, Mason Short. Instructor Brad Groh. Auto Tech Service 1, Bruce Engelking. Instructor Eric Terry. Auto Collision Repair, Bella Landstrom, Joey Bunch, Colt Ray. Instructor Kenny Turner. Auto Refinishing, Logan Weber, Emma Stapleton. Instructor Kenny Turner. And Precision Machining, Riley Skeen, Anthony Coletta, and Carter Cummings. Instructor Brad Gilbert. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I will now turn to our upcoming meetings, which I think our next meeting is, this is the old meetings? So I believe, I don't have it on.
March 21st.
March 21st.
March 21st.
And we will also need to hold an additional appropriation hearing for the GEO bond,
Okay.
adopt additional appropriation resolution, and adopt the final bond resolution
Okay.
at that hearing as well.
Okay. So that's on March 21st. Did you have anything else?
Yes, and I will be out for the Superintendent Academy on March the 13th and 14th. Just wanted to let you know. If you would like to, we can work on the strategic plan, or we can, if it's all right, we could also work on the strategic plan before the board meeting and the resolution, if you want to do that.
Well, they're both,
Weekday.
they're
open to the public.
they're on the calendar, so, but if we want to cancel that one, but let's make sure everybody can,
Yeah.
we'll talk about it, make sure everybody can make those, and then, okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And then I I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Mr. Lambert makes a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
Mr. Parsley seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.